Last question, in retrospect, what can you have done differently? And it's a dumb question. You alluded to it earlier, Dawn, because it's one of those like, obviously you were kind of prescient with some of the things on the e-close and the data side. We're like, hey, I told you so. When you look at that, Jen, I'll ask you this question. What can you have done differently to ensure, or maybe you did everything right and you're like, hey, we did good. We were in the best position. We're just doing good stuff over here.
I like to think there's always room for improvement, but I think, I think we did an outstanding job given the factors and just the speed at which this moved. Certainly we could, like Don, apparently is the trailblazer here with the e-close and some of the data pieces. We could have always done better, but, we have a fantastic risk team that had taken a lot of time to really help us think through these things. But there's things we could have done differently, but, I think that we'll be definitely examining some of those more over the coming weeks.
Yeah. And Dawn, I think you've already answered that question, but anything else you would want to add to the final piece of this conversation?
I think as an industry, we've all got to examine the what if scenarios and take them seriously, right? I think kicking the can down the road because, hey, margins are good, volume is good, profitability is good. So just keep on doing what we're doing. I think we've all come to realize that plan doesn't always work really well.
Yeah.
And we've got to start thinking out of the box. What if, right? I mean, I've been listening to a lot of different speakers talking about pandemics, and they were talking about it 15 years ago, right? And I'm sure 15 years ago, we listened to those and we're like, you're crazy, right? That's never going to happen, or oh, that'll happen, but not in this generation.
Yeah.
What's the next what if, and how do we prepare for that? Right. I think we have to take these what if scenarios seriously.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Do some of that black swan exercises with the organization, kind of the stress testing that Jen has to do because of more of a regulatory need, but do more of that stress testing stuff, but maybe a little more broadly. Christy, any final thoughts before we conclude the session?
One, thanks for having me. And it's always great to get to talk with smart people like Jen and Don and Angel yourself, that it really just reminds me of why we're in this industry. Many of us got into the industry, I'll talk for myself because we get the ability to help others, and in the roles that we're in the day and the opportunities that we have, as Don pointed out, to really make something that is better and to have a more positive impact on not just, and I shouldn't say not just, but on more than borrowers, right? We get to have an impact on the entire economy and where we're headed. And, let's dance outside the box. Let's just throw the box away. Let's tear it down, throw it away, and start with something amazing.